Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the story of Jeremiah in the Bible. A righteous king and a reluctant prophet. Joash becomes king of Judah when he's only 8 years old. The high priest helps raise him, teaching the young king to remain true to God. But God isn't only raising up a righteous king, he is also raising up a reluctant prophet. 13 years later, God speaks to a young man named Jeremiah. Then during the youth of both Joash and Jeremiah, Zephaniah prophesies about the day of the Lord, when God will punish all the nations who disobey him. Young Joash rules Judah firmly, but fairly one day he decides. Workers began at once as they clear the rubble. The high priest notices, and when the priest opens the ancient scroll, he immediately realizes, as he reads the scroll to King Joash, the priest's joy turns to despair. And Joash is so upset that he quickly sends several high-ranking officials to the prophecies, and hoping to win God's forgiveness for his nation. Joash reads the scroll of God's laws to the people. He asks them to commit following God's commands, and he reestablishes the celebration of Passover. For several years, Jeremiah and the king worked together to destroy idol worship. Never before or since has there been a king like Joash. He serves the Lord with all his heart, soul, and strength. Then one day, a military commander brings him frightening news. Ignoring Jeremiah's advice, King Joash leads his soldiers out to defend the pass and into the path of the oncoming Egyptian army. And in the battle, Pharaoh Necho faces off against King Joash and kills him. And when the soldiers bring Joash's body back in his chariot, Jeremiah is overcome with grief at the death of his godly king. He knows that Joash's death marks the beginning of the end for Jerusalem. Now Jehoiakim sits on the throne of Judea as a puppet ruler for Egypt, but he does evil and leads his people away from the Lord and disregards Jeremiah's warning. At this time, the prophet Habakkuk asked God some tough questions. Why is the world so unfair? Why would God let a good king die, while wicked people lead rich and happy lives? In the meantime, more bad things happen to Judea. Babylon comes to power, just like Jeremiah predicted. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar conquers Egypt and forces Judea to surrender. To ensure Jehoiakim's loyalty, Nebuchadnezzar takes many of the princes and Jerusalem's finest young men as hostages. As Jerusalem sadly watches its finest young men being marched away, among the hostages are a young man named Daniel and his 3 friends. God will soon show how he can work good out of his sad event. And that is the story of King Joash and the prophet Jeremiah. They worked together to destroy idol worship, and then King Joash sent his army out to defend the pass of Judea. And then Pharaoh Necho faces off against King Joash and kills him. And then that marks the beginning of the end of Jerusalem, as the prophet Jeremiah predicted. And that is today's Bible story for today. This is David Daughter signing off.